Class A. He asked the committee if we had any suggestions as far as adding to the list of things that we want to see in our when we come up with a resolution for our biosolids. The only thing that was pretty much brought up to a vote was fining the landowner if the biosolids was not spread in a certain amount of days. All members were in favor except Michael Chandler. The next item that we discussed, which Kenny brought up, he asked the mayor about a 100-foot right-of-way on Shockley Road. I don't think there was no action taken on that. It was just asked a question. You got anything about that, Mayor?
I did talk to Mr. Oakes about that there, and he said when those were done, when that road was did, years ago with at state aid there, that the road markers and the distance was set then, you know what I'm saying? And he said it would be hard to determine who you would give the property back to if you even thought about trying to do that. He said it would be more, of a pain than it would be, because he's got problems, I think, down there by the old bridge, by the old store off of Highway 30, where two different landowners are wanting it there, and so he said they didn't do anything there, so he didn't recommend to do anything with this.
That answer your question, Kenny?
Yep.
Okay. We had some new business brought before Committee B. Gentleman over in Mooneyham, Richard Ward, came to our meeting. He was asking for permission to access a piece of property that he was looking into buying. He was asking for permission to use a gravel driveway on county property. The property he's wanting to access is at 2800 Mooneyham Longwood Road. Of course, he was in the process of buying it. Did you hear from
Heard anymore?
Okay. But anyway, he was in the process of buying this property. The existing driveway on the property, he said, was in a dangerous curve, and he just asked for permission to access his property off of a driveway on county property. After we discussed it, we told Mr. Ward we could, gave him permission to use the roughly 40-foot, 50-foot by 20-foot wide access to get onto his property from that gravel driveway on the county's property. If anybody's kind of wondering where that's at, it's where we're planning on building a new convenience center.
Well, no,
or
it's where the
community center.
The community center, they had a grant to build that, and they bought the two lots there. Yeah. And it caught just the very corner of where a previous driveway had went up through there.
Right.
I talked to Randy, and he said, wasn't no problem for him.
Right.
And that offer was accepted, and he closes November 7th.
Okay, well, see,
Okay.
I just asked her. That's the only way I know.
oh, okay.
Yep.
If anybody's wondering about that, I don't know if, does our property have a physical address? Do you know of?
I don't know. I'm sure it has to have.
It had to have one.
It had to have one for that.
I didn't know physical.
Yes.
Kind of put in the description, but if any,
There was. And that's where they put the pad for the new community center.
Yes.
And that's the old driveway for that old mobile home.
yeah. So if anybody's curious about where that's at, you can search or look at 2800 Mooneyham Longwood Road. There's a gravel driveway that joins that property or just right beside that property. All he was asking for is permission, I guess, just to use that, a small access, just to get
He
a
wants to
gravel
make a
driveway put
circle
in,
drive.
to make a circle drive into his property.
And he's gonna do all the upkeep.
Yeah, and I told him, he was told to be, he'd do all the upkeep, keep up the driveway or whatever he decides to put in. And that it was only permission. It wasn't an easement. So somewhere down the road, if somebody decided to not let him use that anymore, that's, that's his risk that he was taking. So, but that was what we told him. All members were in favor, except Kenny Smith, and Michael Woodley was not there to take any vote from him. But that was all community meeting.
Sure, sure. Do we have to give him a easement or anything to allow him to use that drive?
You don't have to,
Didn't think so.
it's at your discretion.
Didn't think so.
Verbal permission and it can go from there. Right. You have to do that.
Verbal permission on an interest in land is not enforceable. Giving verbal permission, that's just not, that's like not giving any permission, because anything dealing with land has to be in writing. Possession or title or anything such as that, to enforce that, those statutes, laws has to be.
That's what I kind of made him aware of, that this is permission. If you want easement, that's something you're gonna have to come back and ask or do some kind of deal with the city or county. It's at your risk. I mean, you can use it now, the board's fine with it. Other than that, somebody could come along one day and be like, hey, you need to stop using that. That's on me.
But also it was, if he sold it to somebody else, they had to come back in front of the commission again.
He won't acquire any rights that can be transferred into the use of that roadway or easement.
Do we have any liability?
Letting somebody use a roadway such as that. You may be thinking, well, if he uses it over a certain period of time, then he acquires a prescriptive easement, and that's kind of like adverse possession. If you use a roadway a certain period of time, and it's without consent, you acquire a prescriptive easement. Well, he's using it with consent, number one. Number two, the law is you cannot hold adverse against a governmental entity. So even if we did not give him consent and he was using it, he can't hold adverse to the government.
Should we vote on it as a commission, or is the committee's vote okay?
I would leave it in the committee.
Well, I thought-
That's the way I would leave it. I would just leave it to Tad, if you don't mind. That's my recommendation as legal counsel.
Is there anything, anybody else from any B got anything that I might have? That was all we voted on.
I've got a question. Is the biosolids, has that done been sent on to the lawyers
No, I've not seen it until
until we had this?
we had this meeting.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I can send it to them this week. You know what I'm saying? And because I don't know what they're gonna do with it once they get it. Cause they may,
What this is, and you're wanting to add that other in, is that what stands? Are we
No.
voting on it today? This is what we want in here?
well, the agreement was anything that Committee B wanted to add it. And, because y'all had the opportunity and y'all were good with it. You know what I'm saying? And so I put, the only thing that was changed was that
Find the
if
landowner.
they're fined, it goes to the soil conservation because they're gonna be doing the monitoring work anyway. And all that may be taken out once it gets to the attorney, up there, then who knows what will happen to it.
Who's supposed to regulate that, who's,
Well, we got in there for the soil conservation too.
that's to do.
Well, they may have, but the thing about it is, you're talking about soil. And what do they deal in? Is soil and test and these different chemicals that you know, that you can accumulate with the land. That's the reason they did the water testing out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they went and done that at that time.
I'm for all of it besides finding the landowner. If they break something down, they don't get it done, you know, I don't think the landowner would be responsible.
Well, then that should be between the landowner and the ones that is doing the work. Because most landowners around here, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, if you're dragging your feet, they're gonna fire you up to get it done. If you have a breakdown, they'll work with you. If anybody has a breakdown, we can work with them, but the way they were doing 90 days and not doing nothing, I mean, that's just wrong. The landowner knew it, and he didn't encourage them to get in no hurry. So if you don't put it in there where different people has to be subject to it, you're back in the same boat you were in.
It's an option, it ain't nothing that we definitively gotta go forward with, or.
Right, well, and even when it goes to these attorneys that are gonna draw the resolution up, they may say you can't do it.
We had this very debate last night in our county commission meeting. Then we had a special call meeting with in fact, Mayor Sullivan was at our special call meeting. So I'm really they're probably a lot better lawyers than you all have representing you.
Well, what they were.
I couldn't find anything that would help us.
What Charlie Curtis, that used to be a House of Representatives there, he said there's an agriculture law, and he informed Ben of the agriculture law about, you know, where you're not taking care of the general public. There's some statute there that, you know what I'm saying, if they're abusing the rights of the general public, action can be taken. He said it's under some kind of agriculture law, and Ben says, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. He said, once you get me one up there, he said, then we have 6 or 7 attorneys that will address it.
That's generally the Right to Farm Act that was enacted about 3 or 4 years ago by the General Assembly, and it essentially says that normal farming operations that emit smells or odors or whatever, that specifically is declared not to be a nuisance and is not actionable. In other words, farmers have a right to farm the property and to farm it in you know, practices and methods that are anticipated and accepted in a rural area. And it's really hard to get around that for anybody in the public to try to restrict or limit a farmer's right to pursue agriculture and the various methods of farming in a community. So that act is really, really strong, and it has to be a nuisance that's separate and apart from the normal smells or whatever from a farming activity.
Well, I can say on my part that with smelling that for 90 days out there, I went out one morning and it nearly knocked me, I about went to the ground. Well, guess what? I went in an AFib the next day. So, you know, to me, there had to be something in the air coming from that across the road, or I would never been, you know, I wasn't sick until it just kept laying there and kept laying there and laying there. And smell it every day.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying, Mayor. I'm simply saying that statute is a strong statute.
Right. And we may not can do anything with it, but
Yeah.
he's gonna try anyway, or see what he can come up with.
Okay.
That's all I got, Mr. Chair.
Is that all you got?
Yes, sir.
All right, Committee A, Mr. Crane.
Miss Tabitha's gonna read off the minutes for 2.
We had a Committee A meeting October the 9th, 5:30 PM. First on the agenda was Sheriff Brock reporting on the changes to a grant. You can correct me if I'm wrong. This was just to modify, he called, received permission to exchange the X-ray machine on the grant for more vehicles instead. That his knowledge and on reviewing it, X-ray machines weren't as well used properly, so he chose the vehicles over that. No action was needed. Second was ambulance service discussion. And it was on the new truck that's supposed to be coming after the first of the year. That's no longer coming after the first of the year. And there's some type of small verbiage in the contract that says that if the price is on the chassis goes up, then they can go up on the price. We are looking, currently we have Dodges that have done extremely well. Previous to that were Fords that did not do well. She could probably get a Ford with an additional almost $18,000 charge next year. However, I believe that she's choosing to stick with the Dodge, and it will probably be 25 to 26 before we get that ambulance. But currently, we still only have, we have the 3 ambulances. One of them needs some work, but they have a mileage of 107,000. One has got 80,000, and one's in the 60s. So, still good trucks, but I believe that she's going to choose to wait on that Dodge since we've had such good luck out of the Dodges. They're just having a hard time getting they can get the box, it's just the chassis that they're having a problem with. There was also discussion on her supplies. I did bring up that she had saved over $1,500 in supplies in a month, so she's working extremely hard on that to decrease the amount that it's costing the county for patients. There was no other need or vote for anything on the ambulance service. It was more of just bringing everybody up to speed on the truck. Number 3 was the fire departments. Ryan Bricker wanted to discuss getting a vehicle for rope gear. We have approximately almost $40,000 worth of rope gear that was got on a grant received. It is currently, or was currently, in a van that is not, has been turned back into the county now for the state to get.
The 2013 van.
So, they're needing something to put the rope gear on, or in. Also, Tawana had brought up an ambulance, a 2011 van-style Chevy ambulance. 140,000?
140,000, some had amount.
And, we chose to let, the fire departments use that until they could find something else to store the gear in. So, and again, we will only be letting the fire departments utilize the vehicle. It will still stay as owned by Van Buren County. Because we may do something else with it later if needed. So, motion was made by Terry Hodge and seconded by Terry Hickey. All were in favor. So I will make that in the form of a motion that the fire departments utilize the 2011 Chevy van that was run by EMS for rope gear equipment.
I'll second it.
Now, this is discussion time now. They're only gonna use this. They don't need to take ambulance off the side of it or nothing because it's got EMT on the door. I've got it in my shop.
It'll still be utilized as emergency, so.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I mean, here we're sitting with the money appropriated for ambulance, and it's gonna be 2 years before we can get one. If 1 or 2 of them goes down, we need to be able to go back and get this ambulance and load it back up and be using it, because I've not found anything wrong with it yet. She said the trickle charger wasn't holding the batteries up. The trickle charger wasn't getting no fire. It was not being plugged up, so it ain't gonna hold the batteries. We're in the process of relocating the battery and putting a master cutoff in to shut the power off everything, and the batteries, I mean, all you gotta do is go and flip a little switch and it should go, you know what I'm saying? And so, that's what I'm saying, it needs to be, they need to know they ain't gonna take and re-letter this thing and everything, because we may have to go back and get it. I mean, you know, push comes to shove.
Yep.
Anybody else got anything, more discussion?
I'm with you on that, because that's what I mentioned in that
That's
meeting
right.
next week, so.
Okay. Roll call?
Who seconded Michael?
Michael.
Chandler.
Michael Chandler? Kel Crane?
Yes.
Jordan DeLong?
Yes.
Tabitha Denny?
Yes.
Terry Hickey?
Yes.
Terry Hodges?
Yes.
Dusty Maybell?
Yes.
Kenny Smith?
Yes.
Michael Woodley?
Yes.
Anybody wish to change your vote? Motion carried.
Okay, next on the agenda was a solid waste contract finalization. Contract was finalized. Mr.
Yes.
Crane signed that. We also discussed, Mr. Robert Walling and David Knight were there to discuss the garbage at the hotel now. So we may have to purchase a compactor, and we did this just in case. We do not believe that we will. We believe that we've located one, however, just to keep everything going forward, just in case we did, Mr. Hickey made a motion to buy a compactor for the, inn, and it was seconded by Mr. Hodge. And I'll make that in form of a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Michael Chandler?
Yes.
Kel Crane?
Yes.
Jordan DeLong?
Yes.
Tabitha Denny?
Yes.
Terry Hickey?
Yes.
Terry Hodges?
Yes.
Dusty Maybell?
Yes.
Kenny Smith?
Yes.
Michael Woodley?
Yes.
Anyone wish to change your vote? Motion carried.
Next on the agenda was the solid waste truck, updates and repairs, and it's back on the road, correct?
It's not yet, no,
Okay.
but the parts have been purchased for it. He's
Okay.
not done all the work yet. He has welded one of the containers of one of the three that was down.
Have we got a deadline we give him to have it done
I
by?
didn't give him a deadline for, when I talked to him, he talked like this last week he would be done, but I don't think he's worked on it the whole time. Maybe one day on the compactor, you know, and got that one done.
The other truck running?
The Freightliner, the newer one, or it's not a Freightliner. The new truck is running.
Both of them are Freightliners, aren't they?
Oh, they both are Freightliners. Okay. The newer Freightliner's running. The older one's still out.
The old one is running. It's the brakes and different things that,
He's working on that.
yes.
All right. There was no need for a vote on anything to do with that. Committee B, had received prices on a camera system for the convenience center, and it was tabled by them, so we just tabled it also. Update on a fuel tank, bids. We did make a motion to solicit bids for, a fuel tank system to see what the prices were gonna be.
Okay, do you want me to go ahead for 2,000, 1,000, or both?
Both.
Get prices for both.
Okay, because I found a page for that I'd done the old one before through Sparta Petroleum, but it was just a price for them only. On bidding, can we run that through our website, or is it got to be put in the paper? Okay, so that'll take care of that, so we can do the website, so we can get that started on that then.
Okay, so there was a motion to, solicit bids for a fuel tank system for both 1,000 and 2,000 gallon
And you want
Thanks.
cards?
With card reader.
with card reader.
Yes.
Yes. And I'll make that in the form of a motion.
At least, correct? purchased.
Both? Both. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
All right, sorry, everybody, it was a long meeting. Next was a review of admin employee times, and we are still gonna review those. I did not receive the first one that we were gonna review in time to make copies, so, and Mr. Crane wasn't there, so we'll review that the next time. Number 9 was repair of trash containers, and you told us that he's already repaired.
He's repaired one,
Okay.
and he likes the other two, and then the one that he repaired, now the door is gonna have angle iron put on each side of it. I thought of all things, once they started using it, I think $40 worth of angle iron's gotta be welded in there, and they got some Shannon has some metal that can finish fixing it there, to just make it sounder.
All right, next was number 10 was updates on the Piney Convenience Center, and the planning commission was supposed to meet on the 12th.
Planning commission met, it's approved, you know what I'm saying, we got the variance, so the plan is made, and I sent you to make the deed, the description of the deed there, and so we're still going forward with that. Talked to for the septic tank for the state, and they've not come to check it yet, but the soil scientist says it's good.
Okay, moving forward, there was no old business. Under new business, the school brought a resolution, and it just keeps them from getting a write-up during audit. So this will be in the form of a motion that we just have to, this is federal money, so we won't have to do anything with federal money. The school system can handle it. So be it further resolved that the budget for the school federal projects fund shall be the budget approved for separate projects within the fund by the Tennessee Department of Education. That's the resolution they needed in the minutes and approved by us.
You're putting that in the form of a motion that this how's that just gotta be entered? Is that what we're saying, or?
Has to be voted on in order for them not to have to bring federal funds before us, which federal funds shouldn't.
It was right up that the auditors, they had $100,000 and then when they would do the payroll, it would be $300,000. And so they were going over, so the auditors wrote them up, or my understanding, and that's the reason they need this resolution here.
You've made this in the form of a motion. I need a
Yes.
second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, does this get a resolution number? Do you know, Howard? Mr. Church?
Well, it looks to me like it's amending a budget that's already been approved, or amending a resolution that's already in existence. The way we did it, we had the same thing in Bledsoe County. We did not do it by a separate resolution.
Just amended it.
Okay.
Just put in the minutes
So,
of the meeting.
and this is something, explained to me, that all the schools in the state are adopted.
All right. You ready? Next on the agenda for the Committee A was a Karen Kushner is asking to take her meter off of commercial pay. It was a cheese, some type of
Goat cheese.
Goat cheese.
goat cheese farm, and it is no longer a goat cheese farm, so she's just asking for us to remove the commercial rate to residential rate. And that motion was made by Mr. DeLon and seconded by Mr. Hickey. All were in favor. And I'll do that in the form of a motion.
I'll second.
Yeah, Lisa. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
And next, under new business, the trustee brought forth an early payment and discounts, for early payment. She was receiving funds prior to, an October 1st deadline to be able to start. And, she just needed to bring this to our attention.
She was not wanting to adopt that when they are, can she take money before October 1 on new taxes? What it is, people are calling in and paying
They
online
were
or
paying online, yeah.
paying online before October 1. And the only resolution she could find was where that some other counties had adopted that paying early.
I've never looked at that. If the tax rate is set and established and approved, I don't know why you could not do that.
Yes, the tax rate was set.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I quite frankly, never had that question.
That's just what she gave us. You can have mine.
That was where other counties had took early payment. But the reason they were taking early payment was to encourage people to come and pay early, and they would give
They
them a
was giving a
discount.
discount.
Yes, they
They
was
was giving
doing
an
the
early
discount.
payment discount.
Yes.
But we wasn't gonna do no discounts, but we was happy to take their money.
And then next
Well,
on
hey,
the
She said she'd
agenda,
already got about $200,000 in
Yeah.
on this,
That's
on
good.
this, you know.
Committee A, Mr. Hickey made a motion to adjourn, Mr. Hodges seconded. All were in favor.
Brings us to number 7. Approve or disapprove notary public for somebody's Trish Serenco.
I make a motion to approve.
Second, sorry.
Mr. Crane made a motion to approve. Ms. Denny, did you second it? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Number 8, we don't have the quarterly reports. We'll skip over that. That'll be next month. Okay, anybody from the public have anything? Any discussion from the public? All right, any old business? Any old business?
No.
All right, now new business.
Not unless you want to bring up the health department under the old business, because
Is it about the grants?
it's about the grant.
I guess it would be old business. We
I
already
mean, it could
approved
be
it.
old business, that way she can go ahead and do hers.
We met with the architect today. It was Mayor Sullivan, Melinda, myself, and then another representative from the state. And we have the contract ready. Did you give them a copy of the contract?
Yes, I gave them, well, I gave them where the changes were.
Okay.
I didn't give them the whole 32. Anyone that wants the whole 32 pages, if.
It's been emailed to you. It was
Yeah,
all emailed.
it was
to you.
emailed to you, yes, but if you want it in print, if you let us know, we was trying to save as much paper as we could.
So, the changes that were made, the only question that we had about the contract in general was the Phase 3. We didn't want the county liable for those fees if Phase 3 did not happen. And so now in the contract, it states that if Phase 3 goes through, then this is what the fee will be on that, but we are not liable for those fees unless we decide to have Phase 3 in the project. So, next steps are for the mayor to sign the contract, if you all do not see anything wrong with the contract, tomorrow, and then they will get the engineer out and start drawing up plans for construction. And then they will they will bid out and do the bid process for the general contractor.
That was for the 295 and 229.
Yep, so the 295 and the 229 are bid packages 1 and 2. And the fees for that were $50,171.46. We asked them to when we would pay them, and so with the architect, we would pay them after the phases were completed. So with general contractors, he said that'll be monthly, you know, we go in, we walk through, make sure everything's done correctly, sign off on it, and then those bills are paid. But as far as the architect fees, engineering fees, all those things are at the end of each phase. So that's what he told us.
That was for the 295 and 229.
Yep, so the 295 and the 229 are bid packages 1 and 2. And the fees for that were $50,171.46. with we asked them to when we would pay them, and so with the architect, we would pay them after the phases were completed. So
he suggested you bidding number 1 and 2 together. So it would be more likely to get more attraction to bid.
So there's still an outdoor canopy?
Yes, so it'll replace the carport. That's what the immunization funds were for. It's 120,000 of the immunization funds. And they'll create it to where it can be a drive-through for if there's another vaccine event that we have to have. Yep.
What needs to be done on this?
Well, it's just general knowledge. I mean, you can make a motion if you want to accept. That way it's acknowledged. I mean, that's,
Already.
I was just bringing it, to-
We done that,
we just
I
wanting to update everybody
Yeah, we've
tonight.
already acknowledged the,
It's done been acknowledged, yes, but, I mean, we just want to bring it to you because we didn't have the architect fees at the time. Now we
so
have,
did he think that he could fit the 4 rooms in that small size?
So that's phase 3. So that's if you all choose to do that. But he's not told us yet. So I think that's when they'll come out, and he said they'll bring the engineers out and see if it's a possibility. Other great things can happen though, so.
When is the deadline for phase 3, like the money wise?
Absolute, I think you have to vote on it by March of 2024. Yeah.
Let's go for 2025.
Questions? Thank you. Thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much.
Be careful.
So now we move on to new business, I guess. Looks like we got a couple of things. One of them is this solid waste proposal, I guess, to,
which one? Oh, okay, that right there is under the 200,000.
Yeah.
Mr. Crane, do you want to take
Yes.
that, or?
We were told, well, we got told twice, and now Tabitha helped me, my memory, that we didn't have to put the 200,000 in whenever we were doing the budget for this fiscal year. And then when it come down to it, we were told that we had to put it in there per the auditor. Now, we don't have to have it in there. So,
Well,
we wasn't awarded that grant anyway.
Yeah,
so.
we didn't get the grant, but we put the money in there. Of course, it was gonna be a wash. It wasn't gonna,
It's just, yeah, it'd been 200,000.
yes, and it never happened, so didn't have to start with. So with this here, the way they do their numbers, she has put the $64,000 grant, for the two,
That we just,
for the convenience center.
for the convenience center that we have right now.
Yeah, if you subtract that off of that, that should be giving you that 131?
131, 655.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just get it out there, gotta get it approved to change it in that line
Yes.
item. I make a motion to remove the 200,000 in line 55732-717 in Fund 116.
roll call, please.
Michael Chandler,
Yes.
Kell Crane,
Yes.
Jordan DeLong,
Yes.
Tabitha Denny,
Yes.
Terry Hickey,
Yes.
Terry Hodges,
Yes.
Dusty Makewell,
Yes.
Kenny Smith,
Yes.
Rick Wall, Michael Woodley.
Yes. Motion carried. Next one is, we got I was reading it here, a thing from Mr. Brian London to, let's see, what's he wanting done here?
What he's wanting done there, apparently he had to have 2 water meters
He did have
to
supplies chicken
supply the
bars.
chicken houses. Well, they charge him $18 on each one, when they shouldn't have been charging, but on each water meter.
That wasn't, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, they set one, they don't supply enough water.
So
So
that
they
put
had,
another-
they had to put another one.
Okay.
And it's all going to one structure, it's just 2 separate lines, in other words.
And he was asking for 18 of the $36 to be taken off. He's being charged twice, one for each water meter.
The action.
And you've saw this, you know that it supplies one building?
Well, it supplies 2 chicken houses.
I mean, how big is the building?
There are 2 600-foot chicken houses. Yeah,
Chicken house.
and then out there on 30,
Yeah.
that's where they're at. They dug 4 wells from what I was told in the water. So they had to go back to the rural water system.
They just need, okay, I get what you're,
And it is just one business. You see what I'm saying? It is just one business, one thing, and
they
this
just got 2 meters.
2 meters and 2 lines running down there to them to supply,
So
have
they're
enough
getting-
supply.
Yeah, they're getting 2 bills. So that's why they're getting billed twice for the $18 on each.
Right.
Anybody got any questions? Tabitha?
I'll make a motion to reduce this down to 1.
Motion been made and second to reduce this, to supply this, or grant this request, to take him back down to 1. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I guess we need to talk about the van, don't we, Mr.
Yes,
Howard?
yes.
Do you want to tell them, or
Talking
either
about the
way?
van we just got back?
Yes, well, the thing about it, I seen Mr. Howard last Thursday, and he said that the van needed to come back or somebody's gonna be prosecuted. Well, then after that was told, the van came back the next day. The issue I have now is, I talked to Miss Julie today
From the state?
from the state. They were gonna come and get the van tomorrow. But it's in EMA's name. I says, well, how can it be in EMA's name? Because it wasn't a legal title to start with.
I can give you some background on it. This van was a TDOT and federal aid grant-funded van, and it could only be used by the grant for essentially transportation purposes. And the grant refers to mass transportation or public transportation purposes. And TDOT, in the grant documents, retained a security interest in the van, and a provision in the grant documents required the county, or actually it was initially transferred to the Van Buren Community Development Services Board. That's who took title to it. But if title was to be transferred from that board, approval and a release had to be secured from the Department of Transportation. That was not done. I don't remember Mayor Sullivan asking the county commission for approval to transfer the van. He is
Before us.
No,
It was
this
done
is
before
before
us.
us. This was done in 2020.
I'm sorry, not Mayor Sullivan, Mayor Wilson, excuse me. Mayor Wilson, asking for authority to transfer the van. But Mayor Wilson did execute the title, and I may have forgotten some action that was taken at a county commission meeting. I know Terry was a county commissioner at that time as well, and I just don't recall it, and I don't know that there are any minutes that the county court clerk has that reflects that. That's the only way he could sign the title is if you all gave him authority to sign. But he signed, it's transferred to the Van Buren County EMA. So the State Department of Transportation began efforts when they finally learned of this to recover the van. So they have now assigned Amy Hollers. Amy Hollers, you may remember, she was the judge of the 13th Judicial District for probably 16 years or so. Her father was John Turnbull, who was a judge for at least that long before her. She was the circuit judge. she was defeated in this recent election. She's a Democrat. But be that as it may, she was defeated, and she's now employed for the Attorney General's office. So it finally was referred to her to prosecute civilly and criminally. So she emails me last week, and after exchange of emails, we discussed this by telephone. I explained to her, I'll get right on this, I'll find out. Found the county mayor. The county mayor had mentioned it to me that there had been some requests, and we may have mentioned it here at some of these meetings in the past. And I suggested to the county mayor that he needed to get possession of that van right away for the TDOT representatives to take possession of it from us. He did that. They now, in the interim, and this again is Judge Hollers, has emailed me, and she wants the title to the van. And that's where we are. Title's now in the name of Van Buren County EMA.
Is there no minutes on it? Was there any minutes found where it was voted on?
Not-
But
Search.
can he not, the county, it's in Van Buren County's name. Does the county not pay insurance on this? Who pays the insurance on this?
I'm sure, I think, regardless of that, I think the county commission who oversees and authorizes and essentially has management of all the various county entities in the county can authorize the county mayor to execute this title. That would be my recommendation as county attorney, put this issue to bed.
If it shouldn't have been signed in the first place, then why does it even matter? They should just be able to take possession of it without,
Well,
Somebody's gotta
because
sign it.
something would have to take place to void this title. And the way you would void that title, I guess you could file a little lawsuit and get a judge to sign it and declare that the title is null and void. The other way is simply to get the existing county mayor with your approval to sign this, to transfer it to TDOT.
But this is transferred to EMA already.
I understand that.
He's saying for you to sign it as the seller
Would
to,
not,
back to the county, correct?
Oh, back to TDOT.
you did too.
Oh, and put it in their name?
No,
Or just
no,
sign
no,
it
just
as
sign it and
the,
let them have the title.
that's a, yeah.
That's what I'm suggesting. I mean, the Van Buren County EMA is not a separately chartered entity, is it? I mean, is that under your control?
No,
No.
no, they're their own entity.
So
We give them $100,000 a year.
So they've got their own
Operate.
charter.
As far as I know, they do.
Well, don't sign it then.
You don't think?
In Bledsoe County, for example, the county government controls our EMS. We fund them, but we control them all. We hire the director, we do all that.
I think they're on board, RCM, the director. I could be wrong.
The EMA director's gotta sign this title.
Is the EMA director refusing to sign it?
That's Joey Grissom or whatever.
Well, I hadn't talked to Joey and Will's on vacation.
I mean, that's who's gonna have to sign the title, right?
I just found this out this evening. I've worked on this all afternoon long.
so if the commission had voted on that to sign it over, could TDOT, can it come back and get it?
They could.
Okay, I was just kinda wondering.
Because TDOT retained, the only way that TDOT could not have done that is if Van Buren County had contacted them and secured their permission and then a release of their security interest to do that. And we don't have anything to show that anything like that was done. Nor does TDOT, nor does Judge Hollers.
It's under a 5310 federal grant, from the federal to the state, and that's what's caused all the problems. It being a federal grant to start with.
And not to say that it's not a big issue anytime something like this occurs, but the state looks at this as a significant issue right now.
That's what we need to do today. to get this past us. I know,
I'd love
David
to.
would too.
Can we not still give him permission to sign that?
That's what I would suggest that you do, that you give the authority for Mayor Sullivan to sign the title, and perhaps also ask Mayor Sullivan to get, Mr. Chris or somebody from Million Main to sign it as well.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Wood made the motion, Ms. Denny second. Ms. Clerk? Roll call?
Michael Chandler,
Yes.
Kel Crane,
Yes.
Jordan DeLong,
Yes.
Tabitha Denny,
Yes.
Terry Hickey.
Yes.
Terry Hodges,
Yes.
Dusty Maple,
Yes.
Kenny Smith,
Yes.
Michael Woodley.
Yes.
Anybody wish to change their vote? Motion carried.
You need to talk to your
I think
attorney.
that's all we got on their new business.
You got anything else on your business?
I don't have anything, no.
Anybody else
I
got
don't think
anything?
I've missed
Go
anything.
ahead and sign that title.
Thank you.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
If you see Joey tomorrow, I'll approve.
I'm
All in
fixing to call him
favor?
right now.